What's holding you back in your trading? What's the barriers that keep you from finding the success and consistency that you know you desire as a trader? For some of you, you're just too new to even reach for that right now. And that's realistic. It may not feel realistic for you as a new trader because you want it right now at this very moment. But you're going to have to submit to some development time. How about the folks that have been doing this for 12 months or longer? Perhaps you've been doing it longer than 2 years. Heck, some of you probably have been doing it over 5, maybe even 10 years, and they've never found consistency or profitability. But you simply won't let it go, will you? You ever consider what those problematic things are that provide barriers to your development? Perhaps they have nothing to do with the things going on in the chart. Perhaps they're internal. Have you ever considered yourself pondering whether or not you deserve to be successful? And that sounds silly. Some of you may snicker to that, thinking, who would think that? I'm not submitting the idea that you are willingly and knowingly doing these things, but consider for a moment, perhaps you have such a deep-rooted event or a lack of just mental health. But perhaps maybe you lost a parent, maybe you lost a spouse or a child, and that deep-rooted grief is gnawing at you internally, and perhaps that's been a barrier for you. Perhaps you don't believe you deserve to be successful, because to be successful and to be financially independent means that you've moved on. And some of us, whether we want to accept it or not, hold on to these things as mental barriers, living in deep-rooted self-guilt. Have you ever considered the possibility that the lack that you have in understanding the marketplace in a consistent capacity really has nothing to do with the trading? I can tell you, as a young man, when I first was introduced to the marketplace, I really wasn't that astute. I didn't have any real interest. I was intrigued, but I didn't believe I deserved to be successful. I didn't believe that there's no better way to describe it, deserved it. I didn't believe that I had the deserving characteristics of what makes a successful trader successful. I didn't believe I had it, because I allowed initial input from my family members saying, well, this is a pipe dream, Michael. You're wasting your time. Don't waste your time doing this. You're going to lose everything you have, Michael. You're going to waste your time doing this. And I believed it. I believed it for a long time, until I found more information about trading, and then I had a taste of what it was like to have success. Because some of you all know that my first trade was in an orange juice option, and I lost half of what I put up for the premium in one day. But I still couldn't let go of the willingness to see, could it happen for me? I had a lottery mentality. Not that I deserved it internally. I didn't see it like that. I looked at it as, it's the lottery, and I might get lucky. And as it were, I did get lucky. Even during the initial 3 to 4 months of success I was having, albeit by luck, I was making money consistently. But I was too afraid to say anything to anyone, because I would jinx it. Because internally, what I was hearing was the playback of every one of my family members and friends. Still to this day, I can still remember hearing the voice in my head. My uncle was dating a woman, and she just was a very cynical person. Nothing good came out of her mouth, nothing positive. He said, oh, well, you'll be working the rest of your life just like the rest of us. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? What if she's right? What if she's right and I have to do this the rest of my life? I didn't want to. And I didn't want to accept that as my future. But because I heard it not only from her, but my other family members, that it was something that just doesn't happen for people like me. It sat with me, and it gnawed at me. wouldn't let it go. And I wouldn't accept the pleasure of being profitable and successful. And it caused me to almost have a split personality. I became something I wasn't originally, an arrogant, self-centered individual, because it allowed me to put on an armor to combat the internal dialogue I was having with myself, where I was telling myself, despite being profitable, as a new trader, finding profitability, I was combating that with internal dialogues, telling myself, reinforcing myself that I don't really deserve this. This is not going to last forever. It's just going to be bound to find its way into failure. I mean, my family has to be right. They've been around longer than I have. And I couldn't enjoy the success. And I couldn't build a positive mindset. So because of this, I had a toxic mindset replaced. I didn't want to accept what my family members thought was going to happen. So to combat that, I created an alter ego. The arrogant trader, the one that was always right, pompous and arrogant. And I combated that with putting myself out online, on America Online. And that was my way of blocking out or arm wrestling outwardly what I was wrestling with internally. And I can tell you, as it's still to this day, I can think back, most people back then did not care for they didn't care for my ego. And it fueled it even more, because then it would cause me to think more guilt and more shame. And what do you do with that? The only way you can do is combat it, is be more arrogant. These things happen in all of us. Maybe we aren't going to come out and become an arrogant SOB. Maybe we're not going to be some know-it-all, okay? Maybe some of us just accept that quiet little voice that we don't deserve this. We don't deserve to be successful. And it manifests itself in our practices. It manifests itself in our analysis. It manifests itself in our execution or lack of execution on the trades. Think about it. How do you feel when you're in a trade, when it's profitable? Most of us, if you're honest and you're new, you just want to get out right now because you just want to have that winner. You want to appease that ache inside that it will reaffirm what you're doing is profitable, and it will cause you to feel a greater significance for yourself. Nobody believes you're going to do this. No one will. No one is going to believe it for you. You have to do it yourself. And it's hard. It's difficult. It's very hard. And I can tell you, I was no exception to that rule. In fact, I'm probably the poster child for it. And I can tell you, if you put the work into learning this, you do deserve it. Because there's no industry like this. It's so easy, you can fail immediately. It's so hard, but yet you can win overnight. There's nothing like this business. So if you have put the time in, or are willing to put the time in, you're a new student, you're a new trader, you are a new hotshot on the block. Your system rocks. Stick around, kid. Even if you're profitable. And something will happen. Either you'll go into a tailspin because you'll believe this internal dialogue that this can't go on forever and I don't deserve it. This can't be real. I should be out there swinging a hammer. I should be out there digging in the pits as a plumber. I should be out there doing things, getting dirty. I shouldn't deserve to live a lifestyle